Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. Today's guest is Jodi Harrison Bauer. Jodi Harrison Bauer is a two-time World Bikini Champion, founder and owner of JodiFit Boutique Fitness Studio. She is also the host of Fearlessly Authentic, which is a weekly radio show. Through powerful, honest conversations about their own journeys to live fearlessly and step outside their comfort zones, Jodi and her guests aim to inspire women who may have forgotten who they are or lost part of themselves along the way in life, love, or business. Each week, Jodi will guide women through the tough times, letting them know they are not alone and they have the power to get stronger, live the lives they deserve, and fall in love with themselves. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. New episodes air each Thursday at 3 p.m. EST. For more information, follow Jodi on Instagram at Jodi Harrison Bauer. But it wouldn't be complete without telling you guys that Jodi was the oldest woman to ever compete for the iconic Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, making global headlines and the top 60 finalists out of 5,000 people in 2019, and that's no easy feat. Growing up, Jodi was being a people pleaser. Although always feisty, she aimed to make everyone happy. Jodi's life changed forever when at 42 years old, she scrounged the courage up to do what scared her most and take control of her own happiness. There you go, ladies. Since then, Jodi's worked relentlessly to better herself, build her business, nurture her relationships, and create the life she always knew she deserved, one with passion and purpose. In doing so, she hasn't followed the rules or fit in the box society wanted to put her in. She started competing in fitness shows when she was too old, opened a business at 50, and got married 8 years later. She competed against women more than half her age for a spot in Sports Illustrated swim issue to prove age and beauty are not directly correlated. Today, she defines herself as an ageless warrior who lets nothing hold her back and an advocate against ageism. In her studio, on her radio show, and across all of her social channels, Jodi focuses on empowering women. She is the proud mother of 2 grown daughters and a rescue pup. Outside of JodiFit, you can find her on the beach or dancing like no one's watching. She lives by the words, "Don't be afraid of doing what is right for you." This was such an amazing interview. Jodi is such a doll. I loved interviewing her. She speaks her truth in such an elegant way for all women out there to find their own personal power and to step into their truth and own being their authentic selves. Jodi tried out for Sports Illustrated and made it to the top 60 out of 5,000 people. And it was such an empowering experience for all women to see that it's not over at 59 years old. And Sports Illustrated, like I say in the interview, made the wrong choice. They should have chose her. She is just amazing, guys. You're going to love this. This is such a episode on female empowerment and why we have to own our own happiness and how to create that and how to have courage to step out of fear, because you can't have courage and uncertainty at the same time, like Brene Brown says, and like we said in the last episode with Shelley Paxton. So you have to step out and take messy action. And that's how you get over being afraid, so you can do, be, and have the things you want in life. This episode will knock your socks off. So get ready to dive in, guys. Oh, you guys, I am so excited about this next guest because we're going to talk today about ageism, and this promises to be something to light you up and knock your socks off and get you motivated today. So without further ado, I want to welcome the one, the only Jodi Harrison Bauer to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, you just light me up, girl. I've been watching your journey, and I met you forever ago, kind of. You know how you meet people that you're competing, and
Right.
we were Savage Girls,
I can't
and
believe that. I can't believe that. That's so crazy. That was like a million years ago, right?
right, and we're competing together, and I was there when you won your second title.
Oh, in Vegas. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did. Yeah, I won in Miami in 2009, then Vegas 2009. Remember that was the mess up where they did the top 5 in reverse? Do you remember that?
Right.
Yes. So I came in 5th place, and then they did the 35 and overs, and they said they came backstage, they took our flowers away, they took our trophies away and said, "We have to do it all over again." And my daughter's in the audience and she's texting me, "Mom, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on?" And then as soon as I realized they did the reverse, I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to win 2 consecutive world shows. This is crazy. At 49, who would have ever thought when everybody told me I was too old?
Oh my gosh, I love that because we have such similar stories in that regard. But we'll dive into that in a minute. I really
Okay.
want the audience to get to know you a little bit and start just when you got into all this at 40 and someone told you were too old.
Okay. So I got divorced at 42, and that's when I really began to take my life into my own hands. And, I was unfulfilled. I wasn't happy. I knew there was more to me that needed to live and be fulfilled out there. I didn't know what it was, but I knew that staying married was going to stop me from being that fulfilled person. So I had a whole bunch of things on my bucket list. And quite honestly, I used to look at the ladies in Oxygen magazine and said, I'm going to be one of those girls one day. I'm going to be in this magazine one day. I'm going to compete one day. And so, long story short, working out at the gym, people are asking me, "Oh, do you compete? Do you compete?" And I'm thinking, is this candid camera? Like, why are these people asking me if I compete? So I thought, maybe it's something I should do. I didn't know how I was going to get into, the Bible of us competition girls back then, Oxygen magazine, and it still is a great magazine. And a long story short, I started competing at 47. I found a coach. We had the same coach, Kathy Savage, and I was her oldest client at the time, and I don't think anybody really knew what to do with me. My daughters didn't really support me. They were like 14 and 10, and my friends, my parents, nobody knew what I was doing. But I was done listening to what other people told me I needed to do.
Right,
I was just done.
exactly.
I was done. When I made the biggest decision of my life, and I'm the biggest scaredy cat in the world, to get divorced, not because, and I was the last person in the world who I ever thought would get divorced, but I needed to be living my true self. So started competing when everybody told me I was too old. Nobody supported me doing it. And then when I went off and I just started doing my thing, and I kept trying to find my groove, and with the help of having a great coach like Kathy was, she just said, just do you. And once I started to embrace who I really was, then that's when all the good stuff started happening. And even back then, 10 years ago, we didn't use the word authentic, and we didn't say living in your truth. So that's when I started really believing in myself and thought, you know what, Jodi, you can do what you want to do, and you're never going to let age stop you from doing that.
And I
So
love that so much.
I'm sure you could understand, right?
Right, absolutely. Because when I started into competing, I was 40, and I remember a well-meaning friend,
Mhm.
oh, you shouldn't do that. 40 is too old to start competing into that.
Right.
And, or I had the people trying to, hold me back or talk me out of it, or
Yeah, I
no
had
support. I had no support, just like you. And, I'm glad that I didn't listen to those people. I wouldn't have finished, in my 50s winning and you're being in the top 5, 9
Right,
times,
right,
I'm just
right.
saying, like, it was a whole, one day this girl that knew me from, when I first started competing, she said to
Mhm,
me, "What changed? You're so different," when I was at Fitness America.
mhm.
And I had to think about it, and I realized I was showing up differently. And the difference is I was giving myself permission to
Exactly.
go fully for the things that
That
lit
you
me up inside.
wanted. Right, I love that I'm gonna shut my window for a second. I love, sorry about that. I'm doing that in the middle of the interview, but it's not good sound. Sorry. That you use the word "lit me up" because that's what it was. It was so passionate to me. And I had been working out since I was a teenager, and I knew that I had a fit physique. And from dancing and from gymnastics and from cheerleading, I knew that I could do the fitness stuff, walking on stage in heels, but it was the presentation. And to have that confidence and to do it when everybody told you you were too old and this is silly. Why? I had a very good friend, probably like yours, who said, "Why would you ever want to get," I said this on Good Morning America, I think, "Why would you ever want to get into a bikini and like stripper heels?" And I said, "Because I can and I want to. And it scares the living daylights out of me, but I know I can do it." When, so if I could say anything that's going to reach your listeners today, don't let the things that scare you stop you, because I waited until I was in my 40s to start living. And even though I had 2 daughters that were everything and still are everything to me, if you aren't the best you have to show your children or the people around you, you have to model that behavior. And I knew I wasn't when I was married because I wasn't allowed.
Yeah,
And it,
it can be very it can be very controlling. You can be in an environment where you're not empowered, for sure.
right. And that certainly gave me that feeling of empowerment, that, that girl power, that I can do anything. And I realized how many women related to the story too, not because they wanted to get on stage and be a fitness competitor, but because, oh, maybe I could do that Tough Mudder. Oh, maybe I'm not too old to, I'm not suggesting anybody divorces their significant other, but maybe I'm not too old to get divorced. Maybe I'm not too old to wear that short dress and wear that sexy outfit and be sexy. Like, find your sexy self.
And what would you say to women out there that, I think a lot of the time we get to this certain age, and because of ageism and what we're told, we think we need to dumb it down, turn it off, we're done, we've
Right.
had that time of our life, and that, because we're a certain age, that we can't be sexy anymore.
I have been talking about that for the past 15 years, that, own your sexiness, be sexy. Like, you should look at yourself in the mirror before you get in the shower and say, "I like me. I would be with me." You know what I'm saying? Like, I would do me, because, if you don't feel confident and sexy inside, then you don't that out to the rest of the world, and people feel that, and you don't realize that people feel it, or that's what you're emoting, until you become honest and authentic with yourself and you get over that fear. And I would just say to women who are a certain age, and by the way, I'm sure you thought at 40 and I thought at 47 we were women at a certain age, but let me tell you, ladies who are out there in their 30s and 40s, you've got a lot of living to do. And don't listen to what anybody else tells you to do. Like, listen to your gut, follow your passion, and really believe in your instincts. And that was really hard for me because I was such a scaredy cat. And every time I followed my instincts, people like to call it their passion, instincts, whatever it is, it's always brought me goodness. It's always brought back positive things because it comes from a good place. And but it takes time to build that confidence. In my early 40s I had no confidence at all. Like, I thought I was, oh, when I go back to think of that, I thought I was ugly and dumb and couldn't do anything, and here I was at 50 opening up a business. And now I realize I'm capable of doing anything that my mind wants me to do. And you know, you and I are both in fitness as well. And you know that if you have a strong body, and it doesn't have to look like the bodies we see, you know, like a 25-year-old body, it's your body. It's your body feeling strong. And then that makes your mind strong. And that's what I love about working out. It's more of a strength of that muscle in your mind more than, yes, you can do that push-up. You can do that push-up. I will teach you how to do a push-up. But it's getting strong in your mind and leaving the studio and saying, I just did 10 push-ups. Now maybe I could go lift that building, or maybe I can go wear that short dress. But it's never too late to try something new. Never.
And I love that. And I know it had to be scary to leave your marriage when you weren't feeling like you could be yourself. And I kind of want to dive into that a little bit,
Mhm.
because I think many of the time we're with a partner that we hide pieces of our true authentic selves. We hide pieces of ourselves. It's kind of related to people pleasing. And
That that's me. That's exactly who I was my whole life, is a people pleaser. I just wanted to make everybody around me happy. I was afraid to voice my own opinions. I was afraid to take that big step forward. I was afraid of getting hurt. I was afraid of hurting other people's feelings. So I kind of just like crouched into myself and just said, okay, well, I'll just be a sheep and go along with the herd. And then I remember just, it was probably about 3 years after I had my daughter, my second daughter. So I was about 35. And I just said, I'm not happy. Like, I'm happy being a mommy, but there's more than just being a mommy. There's more to life. And I needed to teach that to my daughters.
And I love that, because I think sometimes we think like you could be in a relationship where you are miserable and you're really not
Mhm.
happy, but you don't feel like that's enough of a reason to leave.
Isn't that funny that you say that? We don't think that's enough of a reason to leave, and it should be, because if we're not happy, and look, nothing is perfect, okay? Nothing is perfect. And it just comes down to what we're feeling every day. If we wake up in the morning and we're like so happy to be waking up next to that person, and that person, um, I don't like using the word complete. I think it's a matter of that balance that you have with that human being. And it's that balance you have with your girlfriends and members of your studio and the people you talk to, like right away, like positive human beings. You realize, I don't want that negativity. I don't want that. So, you know, it's like one of my clients said to me, you be you and I'll be me. And it's just finding that simple balance of the yin and the yang. And it's not so easy. And it's more than just happiness, it's fulfillment. And that's, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Again, I didn't know that word. And I was being somebody I didn't even recognize in my marriage anymore. I lost myself completely. So when I started dating, and back then the only thing out there was match.com. This was in 2002. And, you know, I got such positive feedback when I was out there dating. I thought, oh, I guess I'm okay. Like, not that I needed, you know, any kind of positive feedback from anybody was really wonderful, because it helped build my self-esteem again, because I was broken and I was lost and I didn't know who I was. So as I described to my daughters, at 42 I started to figure out who the heck I wanted to be.
You know what? It's because you weren't being you. You weren't being your authentic self.
I
And
wasn't.
that's why you didn't know who the heck, like who, because you were being something somebody else wanted.
Right. I was fitting into into the box that society wanted me to be in. So, you know, I wore the correct clothes you're supposed to wear in the suburbs, and I didn't have long hair, and I didn't have, you know, big boobs, and, you know, I got divorced and I did all that stuff. And, you know, it's just like, it's the things that made me happy. It's what I wanted. Started to slowly become who Jodi want. I started creating this person. And it's funny, because my daughter just got married in November. I ran into a lot of people that were in my old life, and they actually said to me, you created the life that you always said you wanted to create, but you didn't say that. So they realized that. And they couldn't understand why I could be so unhappy when in their eyes, I had everything a girl could want. But, you know, you got to dig deep. And I think when I look back, it took a lot of courage, and I don't give myself enough credit.
It does take a lot of courage to stand up for the trueness of your, you, and realize when you're not in integrity with yourself.
Right.
And I think it's really important that our partners, when we are with somebody, that they love us, the true us, the real us,
Yes.
not the person they want us to be, or, if you feel like you can't screw up at all,
Oh,
or,
yeah, I couldn't
then
be with
what are
somebody like
you
that.
doing there, really,
Right.
right?
Exactly. You have to be. And at this point in my life, I could speak for only me. It took me 18 years to finally find somebody who accepted me for who I was and would champion the things that I want to do. Like,
That's
look,
huge.
this
That's
is
that
me.
word, championing, somebody that will be champion, and you're, championing you. It's hard for me to say that.
Yes.
I'm having a hard time spitting
So
that one out.
championing us, championing us. Yes, it's huge. They need to be our cheerleader, just like we need to be their cheerleader, right?
Right. And it's just that person that encourages you and
Right.
has your back, and they're happy for you when you succeed, instead of envious and jealous and feeling less than, like
Right.
it's just, oh my gosh. And I bet guys feel the same way. They want someone that supports them in their endeavors.
It's so true. And you know, when I met my husband, he's a physician, but he's also a musician. I love to say those two things. So he was playing in a band, and when he starts to be like, oh, what are you taking on now? You know, because I'm always taking on something. I'm sure you're the same way. We never sit still. And I said,
Achiever.
remember that girl you saw dancing on the floor? Not dancing on the floor. I was standing up. I was dancing. I said, that's the woman you fell in love with. And he actually said to me, what are you, famous or something? That was his first line to me. What are you, famous or something? And I said to him, I'm not famous yet, but I will be famous one day. So so he knew what he was in for, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's who they fell in love with. And sometimes I think they feel threatened by the person they fell in love with, because they're like,
Right.
somebody else is going to want that person. And I just really think when you can get someone that's very secure within themselves,
Right.
that's the best bet, that that person is going to be more of your
And,
cheerleader.
and that's what I was looking for. I was looking for somebody who was confident, who knew what he wanted, knew where he was going, had his own stuff going on, and could embrace and champion what I would want too, vice versa. It's just not about him championing me. It's about the two of us cheering each other on. But it takes a confident person to be with. You know, we're a lot. You and I could tell already. We're like a lot, you know. We don't crawl into a room meekly. We're there. People, like, you know, whatever. It's why we competed on stage, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why should we dim our light, though? Because, I mean, that's the other thing,
Right.
right? And I bet you did for so long, because I looked at your pictures from when you were younger,
Uh-huh.
and you're brighter
Aw,
now, and you're
thanks.
shining brighter, and you look free.
I feel it.
I felt like I saw that in your photos. Free to just be as beautiful as you want to be, like, just free to be as you want to be.
And that's really what I needed. And if there was going to be somebody, a significant other that came into my life and got me like that, then great. But I wasn't, you know, I was never looking for, of course we all want to have relationships and we want to have a significant other, but my priority was always working on me first, because if we're not whole and we're not shining bright and we're allowing others to dim us, then we're never going to find that fulfillment. If we're allowing people to tell us we're too old, no, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that, then that keeps dimming our light, and we get smaller, we
And
get
then they don't want
quieter.
you anymore.
And then,
There's
right,
that,
right.
right? They don't like this new version that they created.
Right, exactly. And so at the end of the day, ladies, who's ever listening right now, shine bright and don't let anybody dim your light. And that's why I say it, at any age, at any stage of your life, because there might be 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds right now. You don't have to wait until, I mean, I'm 59. I say it like it is. If you are in a relationship with anybody who's dimming your light, get the heck out now, especially if you're in your 20s or 30s. You have a whole life ahead of you. Do not let anybody dim your light. Go run after whatever you want, because life goes by really fast.
And worry, I want to go back to this courage thing.
Okay.
Because, one thing my last guest said is you can't have courage and be certain at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
You can't, because there's uncertainty, and that's what takes the courage.
Yes.
So you probably were worried about, how am I going to make it? What am I going to do? What are people going to think? All these things. And probably there was a little fear there. How did you overcome all of that?
By just doing it. It's really that simple. It's sort of the same thing I tell my clients when they come in and they're anxious, they're nervous about, oh, I'm going to train with Jodi, and what is she going to make me do? And then a lot of people get very anxious when they start sweating and their heart rate gets up. And I'm like, I'm right here with you. I'm right here with you. What makes you stronger is overcoming that fear. So that uncertainty makes us fearful. So if we take action towards that fear, then we overcome it. And then it's not so scary every time. Even just learning everything about the technical parts of this radio show that I'm going to be doing. It's like, oh, it's I don't want to do this. For a second I say I don't want to do this, and it's because I'm scared. I'm scared that I might screw something up with the technical part. But whenever I try anything new, I just go full into it, and I try not to even think about the fear anymore and the uncertainty, because everything in life is uncertain, everything. And if we run around being a scaredy cat, we'll never accomplish anything. And I tell this to so many young girls that I work with who come in and train at the studio, that are in their 30s, and they're having babies, and they're afraid that, they're not going to lose the weight after the baby, and, they're not working, or what kind of job are they going to get? And even my daughters, who are 30 and 20, almost 31 and 27, and, they're always asking me questions. I'm like, I guide them, but it's like, just let your instincts tell you the right way. You'll know when the right time is to have a baby. You'll know the right time to take this job or whatever it is. I think I always go back to relationships, and how even starting today, I always kind of like compare relationships with everything, dating and so on. We're talking about dating so much. And that first date is uncertain. You might really be excited about a project or going out on that date, and it's really uncertain. And then you get there and you're like, oh, I went on a blind date. Oh, okay, it wasn't so bad. I might like doing this. And right? And then you go on another date and you're like, okay, this isn't so bad. Okay, I could do it. I keep doing this again. And so I think the more we do it, it's the same thing with like working out, commitment, consistency, and getting over that, taking your workout to failure so you succeed. How are we going to build muscle? We take it to failure so we succeed. So this is overcoming that fear of failing at something. And so that's sort of how I did it. I just dove right in. I couldn't think about it. For me, I felt like I was in a hurry. I needed to overcome this fear. So
and I really think that that's the key, is what you said, is taking the action, because that's what frees you from the fear. Otherwise, you just stay stuck in it. And I know opening a business as a woman and being older, you
right.
could be like, oh my gosh, but then you jump in and you're like, this is great,
Right.
And
Yeah. I opened up my business at 50. And again, I had somebody I was working for. I was working at a big box gym. And I slowly told my clients, hey, listen, I'm going to be opening up a gym. So stop your membership here. And my 32-year-old male boss said to me, I know what you're doing. I said, you do? He said, yep, I know exactly what you're doing. And he said, and guess what? Who do you think is ever going to come and train with a 50-year-old woman? I said, they'll
oh
come to
my
me.
gosh,
I've never told this story publicly. You're the
how
first person.
insulting.
I know. And I, I wasn't afraid at all because I believed in what I was doing. And I knew that the women needed me in their life. That at that time I wasn't really afraid, but that empowered me when he said that to me. I'm like, you just watch me. You just watch me. It's like getting on stage in that big wave hello. Just watch me. Just watch me.
I
So
love that. And I really, I think a lot of the times that goodbye, that gift of goodbye
mhm.
is a blessing,
Goodbye.
if you can really see it. Last night I was talking with a friend that had just been going through it the last 2 years, getting a divorce, heartbroken. And I think, if I was to say, maybe feeling cast aside like
Mhm.
a worn out shoe.
Yeah.
And we as women are
Mhm.
not worn out shoes. We
No.
are valuable. And if you feel that way out there, because I could tell you a million women that could relate to that sentence. I want you to just really start telling yourself what you are. Like, I am valuable, I am capable, I am beautiful, I am all these things, because that's what you are. And if you are down and you're like, I'm not this and I'm not that, well, you're going to have whatever it is you're telling yourself.
You're absolutely right. It's because I do see it a lot with women over 60 who are getting divorced, and they feel like they've just been cast aside. It really breaks my heart. It really does, because I want to let them know, no, 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 don't let this get to you. You are stronger than this. You are, I may not use the word valuable, but that is the word. That's a great word. That you are stronger than this. You will beat this, but we've got to work hard. You've got to
Right,
work. You've
right.
got to put in the work. You could have said to your friend, all of those things are valuable, but if she doesn't work on it herself, then it's never going to happen. And that's what you and I see. We see that there's so much more living to do. There's so much to accomplish. There's a light to shine upon everybody that you hit. But if you don't feel that 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 beam coming out of your heart shining out to the world, it's not going to happen. And that's where I like to do the work with my clients and the members and anybody I speak to. And I'm sure you feel the same way. It's I think we are unique like that, but if we can help others, gosh, that would be so, I mean, that's what I hope to accomplish. I hope
Well,
we're doing it now.
yeah, and I also would just say that many times that gift of goodbye is your greatest blessing if you can just open your eyes and look for the gift in it, because maybe you really weren't all that happy.
Right.
Maybe you weren't being your true self, and it just wasn't what you needed. And like, when I was at a gym, because you're talking about being at a gym, I just talked about this on my Let It Rip Friday, which is coming out tomorrow.
Okay.
But I remember getting kind of like a Dear John letter on New Year's Eve, when we were supposed to be
Wow.
making our um, you know dream and vision boards and our
Right,
New Year's
right.
resolutions. And I came in from this fun party, and I was just like, and I opened my email and I'm like, oh, wow, okay. No more
Oh,
like private contractors. And I had built my business up in there for 5
right,
years.
right,
And
right.
you know what? That's the thing. I had always been building someone else's business.
Mhm.
And even though I felt like I was a business within a business, the
Right.
reality is that you need to, at some point, be building your own thing. Like,
So true, and it's what you so believe in, but so you got the Dear John letter.
yeah, so I get it. And I cry, ugly cry. I
Ugly cry.
cry, I cry the whole night, because I'm like heart. I'm all heart.
Oh, me
And
too.
I'm thinking about the people. I'm thinking about, like, I don't want to work at a big corporate gym. I
Right.
like the mom and pop, the small, I'm thinking of all these things. And I was working it around my kids' lives. So I didn't want to have to, at the time, open a big gym, because I think I viewed it differently, because I'd seen so many people do it.
Mhm.
and I didn't, they failed and I
Well,
didn't.
it's crazy hours. It's very hard to raise a family. I mean,
Yeah,
even my daughter was a junior in high school. My other daughter was a junior in college
right.
when I opened it up. And I just, I wouldn't come in. There were clients that wanted me to come in at 6 a.m. I'm like, no, I can't do this to my daughter.
Yeah, so it's like I worked my life to fit with my family's
Right.
life, and so that was the biggest thing that really I think got me. But then my husband was like, "This is the best thing that could have happened to you. You'll see." And I felt like, oh, he just doesn't understand.
He
He's
saw the silver lining.
Yes, he did, and so
Oh.
what I cried about is what is a movement now and what
Mhm.
I celebrate. And that was the biggest blessing that I could have ever been given,
So
is the
true.
boot out of the nest and the comfort zone so that I could freaking fly.
It's almost like what happened now with, as horrible as everything that's going on in the world right now with COVID, it made us pause and realize that, what we don't have is what we don't need. And that we find ways to reach people in maybe a more heartfelt way, because I'm heart forward also. I lead with my heart all the time, which is why I get my feelings hurt a lot. And and a good cry is a good cry. Ugly cry, it's still a good cry. And because I still do want to please people, but I'm not at the point where I was years ago where it was going to stop me from doing something. And but like you said, even getting that letter, it led you're like, okay, now I could really do my own thing. And with what's going on in the world now, I think everybody's pivoting differently and saying, well, wait a minute, I wanted to do this anyway, so maybe now is the time to do it. Even though it's horrible what's going on, it makes us think, for those who want to keep pivoting. If you're good, you're fine, then that's it. But for the women out there who were thinking about doing something and thought, well, when am I going to do it? Do it now. Do it now,
Right.
And there is that silver lining. And I always tell my daughters this: there's always that silver lining. We just, again, have to keep our heart open, keep our mind open to do that. And it's like with anybody who feels that they're cast aside, come on, like, open your heart. We can do this. We can do this. But it's hard. It's hard. Right now I'm training my dog. We rescued a puppy. Sorry, change the subject. We rescued a puppy, well, almost 2 years ago. And she ran away from my husband last week. She's a Rottie mix 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
So we hired a trainer. We're retraining her, and she won't do down. So it's like forcing that dog, that horse to water. You could only bring them so far, and then you have to start disciplining them to show them the right way to do it, because they are dogs and they want to please their master. So eventually, she's getting better at doing it. But again, we need to want to. So the women who are out there who want more out of life, you can listen to Linda, listen to me. We will help
listen,
you.
Linda, listen.
Yeah, like, listen to us, because we've been through it. We can help you. It's a mindset. It really is.
It's totally a mindset, and it's also an opening of the eyes and looking around and looking at the resources that you do have and not focusing on what you don't have anymore.
Right, right. What we have, look around, look what we have. And, people throw the word grateful, gratitude around all the time. And people throw around words all the time. And you really have to sit back and think about, what do those words mean? And for me, it's really made me think about my business and what I want to do and what I want to accomplish and how I can reach people. And that's what happened this summer with Sports Illustrated. Is I was just, a little Jodi Harrison who just got married and, was just going to SI because my daughter told me I should do this. Mom, you should do it. And I never in a million years thought that anything would ever come of it. Like, it was a challenge for me.
Right.
I just
I
got,
love it.
it was the summertime, and my younger daughter, said to me, Mom, are you going to do this? Are you going to do this? And I'm like, I don't really. I kept coming up with all these excuses. She's like, who are you? Put on your big girl pants and go do this. And I thought, okay. So I made the video, did that, wasn't called out to make it to the second round. So I was hearing, and now I'm involved in the whole Sports Illustrated like world. And I don't even know what this world is, but like I'm in it, you know? And so I realized I didn't make the first round. So now I've got to schlep to Miami, which I figured, okay, well, the good thing about it is that my other daughter lives in Miami. So one lives in New York, one lives in Miami. So I'll visit with my daughter. So got up at 5 o'clock in the morning, stood in line with all these 20 somethings. There were a few other women, maybe one other person in her 40s, one other person in her 50s. Other than that, everybody was more than half my age. Like my 30-year-old daughter felt old. Let's just put it that way. And everything about it was great. And then to make the top 60, and what I realized was that there were so many women out there who didn't have a voice, and I was becoming their voice.
It was
And
bigger than you.
Yeah. And I
Right.
had no idea. I just thought, I'm just going again with my gut. This feels like the right thing to do for me. And whatever comes of it happens. It's a learning experience for me. It's something I'm doing outside of my comfort zone, you know?
Yeah.
And then to find out that there were so many women that were so happy and championed me on and were like, I would want to do something like that, or maybe I want to do something else. And I was afraid, but you helped me not be afraid. And I was so grateful to have been able to meet so many of these women and touch their lives. And so that gave me a new perspective on what maybe, because I'll be turning 60 in December, the next 10 years are going to look like. I knew from 50 to
You know what?
60.
I loved it. It
Thank
was
you.
it was fearless. Like it was brave. It was just so freedom feeling. Like I just felt like it was a message. And actually, I think they did a wrong thing not to choose you, just to be honest.
Thank you.
I think that it
Well,
should
that's
be
what the New York Times
diverse.
said. The New York Post said. Did you see that article?
Yes, I did. I did see it.
I was like,
Yes.
when I opened up that Sunday spread and they said Sports Illustrated made a huge mistake, I'm like, oh, I feel so bad that they said that. But, you know, what
Right.
can I
You know what? It's awesome, right? And it starts the conversation
Yes,
and a message, which is so important to women, that you can own your sexuality. There's nothing wrong with it. And you did probably when you were younger, maybe not to that degree, but it's kind of a stepping into your power and owning it, I think.
totally. It was totally about owning it. It was totally about not being boxed in. And that's what I said to them. I'll just tell you real fast. I don't know how much time we have, but um, during the whole process, it's like sitting backstage and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. So there was a lot of waiting backstage, but it wasn't a stage. It was in the hotel. And you finally get an opportunity to speak to one of the models that have been in Sports Illustrated. You have 1 minute. They take out their timer, boom, and you have 1 minute for them to look at you and to hear your story. And the model that I talked to was nodding her head like you are and saying, yes, there does need to be a person over 55 who could be there for those women. Because, how many women over 55 want to look at a 25-year-old on the cover of Sports Illustrated or any kind of magazine now? And back then when I was 47, 49 years old, nobody knew what to do with me. And now, because we are talking about ageism and we are talking about not being boxed in, we have opened up that conversation. And it's just, it's like the older woman is cool now, right?
Exactly. And you know what? I think it's more of a decision. Like
Mm-hmm.
you make the decision whether you want to be who you want, who you are, and
Right.
go after the things, or dumb it down, or you don't. A lot of times I think we don't see that we're worthy of having the things and worthy of shining and worthy of stepping into our power.
That's a really good point. There are a lot that, and that is, that's probably the crux of the whole thing, is that so many women of a certain age don't believe they're worthy. But it isn't even those women of a certain age. And when I say certain age, I think of that postmenopausal women. Let's just be clear here.
Yes. Well,
Okay.
right,
Let's
because
just
you
like,
hit that age and you
let's just say
think
that
you lost your
postmenopausal word. Right.
sexuality
Like
when
we're
you're
not supposed, right. Yeah. You hit menopause. You're not supposed to have sex. You're not supposed to be sexy. You're not supposed to be attractive. You're supposed to be some, some
old
horrible,
frumpy lady.
right. Some horrible mole that's wearing oversized clothes and miserable. Guess what, world? It's not that way. It's not that way. And unfortunately, there are women in their 40s, 30s, and 20s who feel that way too. And so
Right.
we're not just speaking to those women of a certain
Right.
age. We're speaking to all of these women who are like, that's my mom. I could be like that when I'm her age. Or the 20 somethings that say, I want to look like you. And that used to bother me when I'm your age, but I'm thinking, well, let's get going. Let's get going. What do we need to work on? Let's
Better
go. Let's
get
go.
to
Let's
work
go.
if you want to look like Jodi at her age,
Let's
because
get going.
Jodi is like smoking hot.
Thank you. You're sweet. You're sweet. But it's so much more than that. It's an attitude. It's I'm grateful to have a healthy body. I'm grateful to be strong. I work hard at it. I eat well, but it's the mindset. It really is. It's so much. And I'm,
You value yourself, though. That's the thing. It starts with that self-love, self-care, looking yourself in the mirror and speaking greatness. Like it's that you did not limit yourself.
And you said something right at the beginning of the show. You talked about integrity. And so much of the way I live my life now is I think about being courageous. I think about being a woman who lives with integrity. So if somebody has, I'm not saying if somebody has a problem with it, but that's how I want to live my life. And I think that can be really scary, but we have to take those big steps. We have to take those big, scary steps, because I am the biggest scaredy cat in the world. And I am, being fearless, being authentic, telling people how it really is, and no lies. Like go forward and be yourself, because that's what's going to keep you up at night, is when you're torturing yourself with, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? I want to be this, sexy woman out there, or I want to be this, other person out there. Who am I? And you get torn between, well, but I'm a mom, but I'm not supposed to look like that. But what am I supposed to look like? And I remember even going to my daughter's school, and she went to a private school, and she's like, Mom, just like wear your dress a little bit longer. I'm like, okay, I will. For the school, I'll do that. It's not like I have to show up in a mini skirt for any reason at a school event. But, for certain things, you have to, it's like filtering. You can't be a potty mouth all the time. You have to filter things. So if you're going to an event for your child, you have to look the appropriate way.
Or you might not want to wear a bikini top on the elliptical.
Correct. Exactly. But you're still living. You
might want to, but you probably shouldn't.
Exactly. So, but you're still living in your truthful self. You're honoring yourself. And it's just for all ages, but especially I'm sure you and I see it with women who are older,
Well, what about the shaming, though? Like, let's speak to that a little, because I think part of that is what holds us back as women, is the shaming.
Wow, we can do a whole show on shaming. So one of my first interviews was talking to a young mom, and she talked about mommy shaming. And I had never heard of that, because when I was raising my girls, there was no internet. People didn't do things like that. But one of the reasons that took me so long to be fearlessly authentic was the shaming.
Yeah.
Because women my age made me feel bad for being me.
Mm-hmm.
And again, when I saw
you're not supposed to.
I'm not supposed to. I'm not supposed to. I'm not supposed to look this way. I'm not supposed to act this way. I'm not supposed to feel sexy and be fit and go out dancing and
be
maybe do some shots of tequila
on SI
and be on SI. Forget it. Who are you?
Be in Maxim.
Right. And it took me a really long time to be okay with that. And I have to say that my daughters really helped me with that. They said, Mom, just be you. Just be you. It's okay. Just be you. And that's kind of crazy, right? Like I have my daughters telling me that.
But I love that, because you taught them that, and now they're speaking it back into you.
I could cry when I think about it. I think, I guess I did an okay job with them if they're telling me just be you. And even something as simple, so I did feel that shame. And I did pull back and I thought, okay, I don't even know what to do now because the person that people want to see on social media is not me. That's not me. I need to be who I am. I'm not vanilla. I speak my mind. I do use a filter, but I do wear tight fitting clothes, and you're not going to see me in some loose baggy dress with flats on. The only time I wear no flats is when I'm going to bed with no shoes on, and sneakers when I'm working out. Other than that, I have heels on. It's just so, I just, as my daughters gave me the confidence to say, just be, because I think I felt like maybe they felt uncomfortable with me being that.
Right, because it's kind of hard to have a sexy mom
Right, right. But then
sometimes, depending on
sometimes,
the
but
girl.
right. And then I realized that they were really proud of me. And especially that boost to SI was really huge. I think especially my oldest daughter realized, whoa, because she was in college when I was competing and she didn't really see me that way. She just saw me as it's just differently than my younger daughter did. And my younger daughter was like my backstage mom back there and constantly texting me and everything. And I think, after she saw what I did with SI and she kept saying to me as I'm standing in line outside in the rain for 6 hours, she said, Mom, why are you so patient? You're so patient, Mom. You're not patient. I said, Alyssa, this is what it was like backstage for like 10 years when I competed. You just
Right,
had to be patient. You had to find that place in your mind and in your heart. And again, it comes back to mindset. Where am I? I'm not going to look at the girls around me because it doesn't make a difference. I'm not 20. I'm not 25 and I'm not going to try to look like them. That's the other thing I wanted to say was that in getting over the shaming part, the other part of it was embracing who I was. And, that's part of standing in your truth and so on, but really saying, I don't want to be a 25-year-old. I don't want to be a 35-year-old.
right.
I don't even want to be 45. I don't, I'm like totally cool with being 59 and
I love it.
knowing who I am and knowing what I have. And I can't wait to go into my 60s because I think it's just going to go, I think everything is going to come together because I started late. I started late in life with everything, you
And the
know?
biggest thing I see in you is that you released your unhappiness and you walked away from it. You kind of set it free. And I feel like that set you free too in so many ways.
It did. A lot of, I was in a tough relationship for a while before I met my husband, and it was a lot of a roller coaster ride. And I always say to any man who I had a relationship with, and I didn't have a lot of relationships, but I'm saying I would always say, okay, listen, if you want to date me, just strap on that seatbelt because it's going to be a rocky road because we don't know where we're going. And there were a lot of ups and downs in that previous relationship. And it taught me because I learned how to be a chameleon, right? Like a lot of us do. Okay, I fit in here, I fit in here, I fit in here. How am I going to do this? Well, I'll change my hair for this person. I'll wear this dress for that person. I'll wear these shoes for that person, right? How many women out there could understand that? And then you say, screw it. I'm getting out of this relationship. I'm going to be me and I know what I have to do. And if I'm, find a great partner in my life, awesome. If I don't, this is my life. And I've got to live it to in my truest form.
Wow, I
You
love
know?
that. Give
Thanks.
me 3 tips how every woman out there can own their sexy fit.
I love that question. How they can own their sexy fit. Well, I think the first thing is to realize that you are a sexy person, that we have it all. We are that inner Jaja, sexy woman inside. And I think also, if one of the things that you've been wanting to do is get moving, you don't have to work out with weights or anything like that, but just get moving because it will make you feel good because we release those feel good endorphins and it will make you feel good. And then wear the clothes that you want to wear the makeup you want to wear your hair color the way you want, but just look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love me. I love me. And that's really, what it comes down to is getting moving, understanding who you want to be and how you want to live your life, and then embracing it with every fiber in your body. And it's not, again, Linda, it's not easy to do. We fight ourselves back and forth.
Right. You gotta quell those negative voices in your head, or if you're hanging around negative Nellies, you need to distance yourself a little more socially.
You do. You have to. And a lot of women decide that they're like, I'm okay being like this, but are you really? So I think it's about having an honest conversation with yourself to be your sexiest self, because we all have that sexy woman inside of us that wants to come out. I know that. Like,
A
I
sexy
know
inner
that.
sizzle.
Everybody, every single woman I've ever asked about, don't you want to feel sexy? Like, be your sexy self. Why are you here? You're here because you want to feel sexy. It's okay. Go. Let's do it. Let's do it. We got to get moving. We've got to work on our mind and our body. And that's why I think working out, and, back then when we were working out, back then, 30, 40 years, whatever it was, when nobody else was working out, and probably, I know my friends looked at me like I was crazy and eating crazy and so on and so forth. But find somebody, the other thing I want to add was find somebody who believes in you,
Oh, yes.
that you can trust. You need to find a mentor, an accountability coach, but I like the word mentor. Try to find a mentor that believes in your journey and is going to be there to hold your hand and let you know that you're cool, you're sexy, you're authentic, and I'm going to help you own who you are. But the first part is understanding that you're going to start changing.
Be the sexy you, like
Right.
be who you are, because that's being you is sexy.
Right. Being you is sexy. And there's nothing sexier, like so many women say, there's nothing sexier in a man than confidence.
Right.
So there's nothing
just that
sexier.
inner sizzle that you can only be you. I can only be me. Jodi can only be Jodi.
Right.
And when you realize that being you is the secret sauce, that's when you're really going to grab a hold of it.
You are, because if I try to be like you and you try to be me, it's not going to work. We have to find out what makes us, to use your word, sizzle. And it takes time and it takes work, and it doesn't come overnight. And women who want to find that inner sizzle and find that inner sexiness, you've got it. You just have to do the work. And that's the hard part, so it's, I wish we can invent a pill that says, okay, take this and you will find your inner sexiness. But it comes with confidence and knowing who you want to be.
And that comes with action.
Action, absolutely. You can't go forward in any way. Think about it. When you're stuck in mud and you're like, but I want to get out. Well, fine. You've got to start moving. You've got to start moving, because if we stay still, nothing changes.
Absolutely. I love it so much. What is next for you, Jodi Harrison Bauer?
Well, so next is I'm going to be on Voice America Radio, doing the Fearlessly Authentic show. And I have my Fearlessly Authentic podcast. And I've released 3 episodes thus far, and continuing to open my gym is open. We're offering virtual classes, virtual training. Hopefully we'll be open in the middle of May, but continuing with the gym, holding my clients accountable, being their coaches and loving that. But also, again, going back to the Sports Illustrated, it made me realize that there are so many women that I need to reach that are not just in my area. So I'm hoping that being on the radio helps to give a voice to those women who are stuck, can't find their inner sexiness, can't find their confidence. And I'm hoping that by helping them be fearlessly authentic, that they can fly, because that's what I do with my clients. I say to them, I don't want you to be here forever. I want you to fly. I am going to give you the wings to fly. And that's what I'm hoping I'll do with the radio show. I'm super excited about it. Really excited.
And I just love that so much. And this show is all about being who you are instead of who others tell you to be. So having the radio host for Fearlessly Authentic on feels really authentic.
Really authentic. You are
I
a joy. You are a joy. I've really
thank you.
enjoyed this interview.
Thank you so much. And I have enjoyed you so much. I feel like we're kindred spirits, and
I agree.
this is just lighting me up inside. I can't wait to release this. The women are going to love it. People are going to walk away empowered, and you are just such a force, Jodi.
Thanks. Thanks. I really hope that we can help change the world and change the way women feel about themselves at any age.
Absolutely. And
Let's do
everybody,
this.
let's tune in to Jodi's radio show and make it a #1 hit.
Thank you.
Fearless.
It launches May 21st. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Excuse me.
All right. I'll make sure to put it in the show notes. And where else can they find you on social media?
I'm on Instagram at Jodi Harrison Bauer and at JodiFit, JodiFit. It's Jodi with an I, and on Facebook, Jodi Harrison Bauer. So, and I read the messages, DMs, and they can email me, Jodi@JodiFit.com too, if they have any questions.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And thanks everybody for
Thank
listening
you
to
so
the
much.
Sisterhood.
Thanks, Linda. It's been a
Bye,
joy.
everybody.
Bye-bye.